this segues into our next question. Uh, the U.S. Market is super interesting. However, we face some of the similar challenges as MVNOs in other markets. So one of the main challenges is the commoditization of the service. So, John Horowitz, I'd like to direct this question to you. How would an MVNO avoid the commoditization of service and improve its value proposition in the U.S. market?
It's a great question, and I talk and write about it all the time, called differentiation. There's more phones in use than there are people here in our country, and MVNOs are popping up left and right. The question I have is, when somebody wants to join the MVNO space and contacts our company, Atrium Consulting, what is your differentiator? Why am I going to leave one of the three carriers or one of the hundreds of MVNOs to join you? And a lot of them don't have the answers. Conversely, the carriers do not want me to MVNOs to cannibalize and compete with each other. And you really have to go after. I'm going to give you an example of one that is differentiating themselves in an underserved market. And I spoke about this in Spain. I have a client called New York Mobile, based in New York, but nationwide launch. And they're going to marry wireless, what we call vanity numbers. People are going to be able to choose for the first time as an MVNO, choose your own number through search engines that'll be on the website and all that other good stuff. And for example, in the New York area, the iconic area code that doesn't exist anymore for cell phones is 212 and 718 in some of the boroughs. But they've, over the last couple of years, acquired hundreds of thousands of 212 numbers, and also something called double doubles. So, for example, I don't have an H in my name, but if John Shave wanted 212 212 John, or if you're a practitioner in the health and pain area, 212 212 pain, 212 doctors, 718 718. You can now customize this to your business, create your own brand using that number, and you can really set yourself apart. And the one thing that the carrier that we're going directly with likes us for a couple reasons. It is new; no one else has ever done this before, where you can choose your own number. And they can, pick not only in the New York state and on the New York markets, we have access to over 60 million numbers nationwide. So if you're in San Francisco, like you and I are today, or Dallas or Chicago, you can also get those area codes. And if you're giving your child their first cell phone at age 10 or 12, they're not going to remember the number. So give them their birthday. For example, 212 212, 0216, which would be February 16th. And there's a lot of things they can do. And the carrier likes us because there's really going to be two streams of revenue to keep a sticky customer, not only the service revenue, but the lease or purchase of that number, which is going to, increase the revenues for New York Mobile, increase the stickiness of the customers with the carrier, et cetera. And, I've been around a long time in this business, and this is one of the most unique things that I've seen in the MVNO space ever. So, so that's, how you an example of not having a commodity product, finding a niche, finding a differentiator. And I think these folks in New York Mobile have, they've got the genie in the bottle right now, and looking forward to their launch any day now. Okay.
Fantastic. And John Shave, perhaps you have some ideas on this, how to avoid your product becoming a commodity.
Yeah, I think from the B2B side, because we also provide B2B, and healthcare, differentiating, find the growth areas, virtual private care, and pay attention to where the opportunities are in developing segments. Also integrating your services with streaming and gaming, which seems to be more common in Europe, but it seems to be really a bright opportunity here. So being able to bundle your services and package your services, there's several opportunities out there and platforms that would be able to do that. So you can actually add more or services, for example, like Netflix or gaming, and it goes on and on and on. Quite a few opportunities there. So I've a couple notes I've just made here real quick. Streaming gaming, adding more value besides the connectivity piece. If you're B2B, focus on some growth markets and where the opportunities are. And also, bundling your services with some unique offerings. And, we've talked quite a bit about cryptocurrency and other interesting, as Alex had mentioned, with blockchain, which she's working out in services, it's really interesting. And, it's very, very early in the game there. So that's sort of my thoughts from a high level.
Thank you. And also, Alex, perhaps you have some thoughts you'd like to share with us on this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can really only add to that what John and John just mentioned. It's really about differentiation, and for me also from a perspective from usability. So the key is really usability, right? Having a product that doesn't overwhelm people, that is easy to use. I think that definitely helps, and also really creating something that is useful to people's everyday's lives and that is easy to use. So for example, what could be interesting right now, you have a credit card linked to Apple Pay, and then with NFC technology you just go to the grocery store and you just hold your phone on the device, and the thing is paid without you having to enter any pins, or it's like an instant thing. So that to me would also be something that would be interesting in the developing in the app. Just make it easy to use, quick and seamless.
Thank you. I have to echo my fellow panelists with all their comments, particularly with the idea that you need a reason to exist in the U.S. market, in any market for that matter. And if you can't articulate why you exist, if you only have a Me Too business model, I would suggest it's time to go back to the drawing board to find a reason to exist. Because if you don't have a reason to exist, eventually you will not. But some of the interesting insights that our panelists shared, let me see if I can summarize some of them. The idea that the service itself is your end product is probably not the right way to think of it. The service itself is important. It's the table stakes. You have connectivity, voice, text, and data. But really, the way we should look at it is that it's a key or the gateway of something else that you deliver to your customer. Some way to address an unmet need, or a segment that's been underserved, or something else. Let's borrow a concept from real estate. In real estate, they say location, location, location. Well, guess what? As telecom providers in the mobile space, we have the most precious location in the world. We are literally in everyone's pockets. Think of what you can do with that prime location. Particularly, that's a trusted device. Now with John and Alex, they have Web3 enabled services, which makes that not just a prime location, but a trusted prime location on a device that the consumer trusts and that has security. Think of the services that you can deliver. So in those cases, it's not about just the connectivity. It's about everything you can enable with the connectivity, the markets that you can serve, the needs that you can serve, the unmet needs that people haven't even realized that needs to be addressed. So that's what makes this interesting. There's so much innovation happening in the U.S. market in these areas, particularly with Web3 and cryptocurrency. I think my feeling is that we're just scratching the surface at this point. And I look forward to all the things that will be coming out in the next few years. We're only constrained by our imaginations.